ShartimusPrime. Reading comics, toys are hella sick, hella whacking it. Taking bad hits, taking back hits. Subscribe.
Shoot anything? Huh? Does it shoot lasers or ice? Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing another Marvel Legends action figure review on the Avengers Infinity War movies. Thanos Build-A-Figure. I gotta give a big thanks to Mcu and Doug for making it possible for me to review these figures a little bit earlier than their release date. Really appreciate it, you guys. If you want to check out Mcu Instagram, link in the description below. He's posing action figures every day. Anyway, looking at the pieces that we have over here, and what do you think of this beautiful BAF art, huh? Hashtag BAF art. I have yet to be challenged. Where's your BAF art? The head comes with Captain America, the torso comes with Proxima Midnight, the left arm comes with King Cobra, the right arm comes with Songbird, the left leg comes with the Iron Spider, and the right leg comes with Taskmaster. So let's get this guy transformed and built. Will you take us away, Bumblebee? Yeah, right. So we're just gonna, because no sticky tack, no sticky tack, you guys. So we're just gonna take this right leg and port it right. Yeah, and then the left leg, gonna port it, yeah, right there, and then take the left arm, plugs right in, then take the right arm, and that, yeah, plugs right in, then pop the head on, and then we'll have Thanos all built, and I gotta say, this guy looks so cool. I'm a huge fan of Thanos, so I'm really excited about having a movie figure of Thanos, and I cannot wait to see the Infinity War movie. I think it's going to be awesome. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of this design change, you know? I don't know if this was a last-minute thing, or if he's gonna armor up later on. Maybe he suits up again once he gets all the stones, but at this point right here with the figure, he does have all the stones on the Infinity Gauntlet, but when we see him like this in the trailers, he only has 2 stones. So anyway, we'll get more into that later on, but first, let's get a closer look at that head sculpt. I throw it out there that the Legendary Collector t-shirts are still available at ShartimusPrime.net. If you're interested, pick one up, support the channel, collect with pride. And looking at this figure compared to some images of Thanos that I found online, and briefly talking about his history, just off the top of my head, I do remember that he is from the planet Titan, or it's not a planet, it's actually a moon of the planet Saturn. So he's from our same solar system, and Titans don't look like this normally. He is a freak of nature, and he was bullied throughout his youth and throughout most of his life, and he got this whole power complex thing where he didn't want to be bullied anymore. So it's one of those stories, and eventually he started to become infatuated with death, and from the comics at least, that's really his motive for obtaining all the Infinity Stones, bringing her as much death as much as possible. He's totally enamored with death, and I think the head sculpt really does look like Josh Brolin over here. I think they did a good job with this. I do like the smile, you know, you get a little bit of a smirk right there. I like that they changed the design from him having these thick lines above the mouth to just underneath on the chin. So that was a change that they had made. I'm very pleased with that. The eyes do look a little on the small side. I wish they were a little bit bigger, but at the same time it does look on point to the model, to me anyway. The eyes do look a little clumpy with the paint. I'm trying to really get in there so you could see that. It doesn't look too bad to me. It's just a very small area to work with. But looking at the side of the dome right there, I think it looks great. I do think the plastic that they used over here is a little bit too shiny though. I wish it wasn't as shiny. I wish it had a little bit more of a matted look to it. You have to take a look at the back of the head right there. And then looking at the rest of the figure, I mean, I really like how the details came out, the armor and everything that he's wearing. I do wish he had his fully suited look. I guess it makes sense that if he has some of the stones that he doesn't have to protect himself as much, because we see him with at least 2 of the stones. And I like how we have these lines on his arms. That looks really cool. I dig that, and I love how the Infinity Gauntlet came out. That is awesome. I love that we're seeing a little bit of a darker tone over this copper tone. So we get 2 tones over here. It really looks good. I like that intricate detail. I'm very happy with this. I don't have any complaints, and even on that hinge right there, looks really good. Slight marbling right there, not enough to really bother me. We have the Time Stone right there. Then we have the Power Stone. Then we have the Space Stone. That's the Reality Stone. The Soul Stone that we've yet to see in the movie. Then we have the Mind Stone right there, which is the biggest one, but it's supposed to be the one that was sitting on Vision's forehead. So I don't know. I think that's weird. Maybe they changed size. But yeah, in the trailer so far, we only see him with the Space Stone and the Power Stone, which makes sense because he just walks through that portal. So he was using the Space Stone right there. That's pretty cool. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. And then looking at the other hand, that looks really good. Oh, one thing I wanted to do was just compare the Infinity Gauntlet from the Marvel Select figure so that you could see how that looks. So yeah, the placement of the stones is totally different, and they did change the colors of the stones with their corresponding power. So yeah, things have changed, but at least the placement on the gauntlet is the same. Man, I love this film adaptation right there. I can't stop looking at that. I'm very stoked. But the other fist looks really good. And then looking at the torso, you can see that we got the little skirt piece that actually doesn't come forward. It's just a big old butt flap that he has right there. Back has this nice texturing. I like this light gold color, you know, looks pretty good. Almost looks like a white gold or something. And get some nice wrinkles in his pants. The knee pads look really good. And I like how the boots look too. Big old burly dude. And yeah, looking at this part of the boots right here looks really good as well. I'm glad they didn't give him laces. That would have been silly, right? So he uses Velcro straps. It looks like Velcro right there, right?
Stop it with the dad jokes, Shartimus! You're not funny anymore, okay?
Looking at the bottom of the feet, he does have some treads sculpted in there, and we do get peg holes. I'm just getting one last look at the back of the figure, because I do like that they textured some of the wrinkles from his pants into the hinges. So we get some pretty good articulation on this guy. Can't complain too much. You can make his head look up quite a bit, so we get a good hinge joint right there in the neck, and you can get his head looking forward. You get that shifting forward and back. You get side-to-side movement, and not too much head tilting. Shoulders will move outward that far and down all the way. You get a 360 rotation, bicep swivel, single jointed elbows, and both wrists swivel and hinge up and down. We get an ab crunch that moves forward that much and back that far. We get a waist swivel. You can move the skirt up and down right here, or I don't know what the butt flap, and then you can get his legs moving outward that far, and then he can kick forward pretty far, back pretty well, upper thigh cut, double jointed knees. It's tough to get that top joint moving on me. There you go. You could get both knees moving like that, so that's pretty cool. You can get the ankle moving downward and upward, and of course we get ankle pivot. Now to measure out this Thanos figure, you can see that he is standing at about 8.5 inches tall. And then for your Thanos comparison, we have our Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure contemporary comic version of Thanos, and I do have that Walmart exclusive coming on the way, thank you, Chew. And then on this side we have the Marvel Select Thanos with the original comic book design, which I like. I would like to get a Marvel Legends comic version of Thanos looking like this. That would be awesome. But yeah, you can see this guy scales pretty well compared to these other Thanos figures. And then for your MCU Thanos comparison, we have the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure next to the Hot Toys Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 Thanos. And I was really hoping that we would get a Marvel Legend version of Thanos looking like this. And you can see some of the texturing underneath right over here is similar to the texturing that we're seeing on the torso. So it could just be that he stripped himself of some of this armor. And then comparing Thanos to a couple of MCU Hulk figures, we have the Thor Ragnarok Gladiator Hulk Build-A-Figure, and then we have the Avengers Age of Ultron Hulk. And if this guy scales like how he does with these Hulk figures, I think that would be pretty cool. I always thought Hulk would be just a little bit taller than Thanos, if not they're like at the same size. So yeah, I think the scaling works out pretty well here. Even though it kind of looks like Thanos has a tiny head. It looks like he kind of does have a tiny head, right? And for a little family portrait, we have Thanos next to his two daughters. We have Gamora and Nebula. And then here's Thanos next to all the other figures from the wave. And I've read a lot of comments of people really dogging this wave hard, but it's actually not a bad assortment of figures. I actually think this is a pretty good wave. I mean, that really came to mind once I started trying to rank these figures, which was very difficult to do because I mostly like these figures. But if I'm going to put one figure at the bottom of this list of figures, I'm giving it to Captain America. The Captain America figure, I don't know. It's not a bad figure. It's just you go watch the review if you haven't seen it already. And then next is Iron Spider. Yeah, I really wish I'd liked this figure a bit more. I don't like that he doesn't come with interchangeable hands. That frustrates me. I have this weird thing going on with the legs. I feel like one leg is longer than the other, and I feel like we're probably going to get another Iron Spider with the legs coming out of his back. That's going to be way better than this one. I just feel like I'm kind of being baited with that figure right over there. And then next is Iron Man. This is actually a pretty cool Iron Man figure. A lot of nice paint details, articulation, and accessories. And then next I would give it to Songbird. Very stoked about the Songbird, and then we get this added accessory on there. Really dig that a lot. And then above Songbird, I'm giving it to King Cobra. I'm happy to add another Serpent Society character to my collection, so I'm stoked about having him. And then next I give it to Proxima Midnight. It was really hard for me to decide whether I was going to give the next one to either Proxima Midnight or Taskmaster, and I came to the realization that if I had to pick only one of those two figures, I would definitely swoop up the Taskmaster before Proxima Midnight, and that leaves only one figure for the very top, and that is the Build-A-Figure Thanos. When was the last time I actually selected the Build-A-Figure to be my favorite figure from the wave? It has been a long time now. Part of it's because of my geekdom. I'm a huge fan of Thanos. He's one of my favorite Marvel villains, and I'm just really stoked to get him in MCU form right here in plastic, and he's fun to pose with my other MCU Infinity War figures. So I'm very stoked to have the Thanos figure. Very glad to have it. It definitely gets the #1 spot for me. And then here's Thanos next, the Marvel Legends Big Time Letdown Spider-Man. Whoa, nice muscle tee. Whoa, nice glove. It's all blinged out and everything. What's it do? Hopefully more than that spear, right? What's it do though? Really, what's it do? What's it? Ow! Whoa! Whoa! What the hell? What? I want to give a big thanks to all you guys that watch my videos from the beginning to the very end, and I've got to say big thanks again to all the people that support this channel. The crowdfunding really does help keep this channel alive. I just want to say thanks again. I really appreciate it, you guys. Do have a new Patreon exclusive video up right now, so if you haven't seen it, go ahead, check it out. And I hope you guys liked the video. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you haven't already, as well as hitting that notification bell. And I know a part of me is biased towards the character. I'm just really excited to see this figure in action figure form, or this version of the character in action figure form, so I'm really stoked about that, and I think Hasbro actually really did a good job on this piece. It's not the design choice I wanted, but still I would give this a stud rating of and I stand behind that, because I still think this is a very good figure, and it would be an awesome centerpiece on a shelf. So I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Follow me on the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you haven't already, and don't forget to pick up the Legendary Collector t-shirt if you're interested. Links in the description below, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace!
I'm gonna play with my toys today. Well, I don't care what my people say. I'm gonna play with my toys today. Can't have one, I gotta get them all. Time to make a trip to the local mall. Oh yeah!
That's crispy.
Hey, new ShartimusPrime videos. Hey, you should click one. Yeah, click on one of them. Or subscribe if you haven't.
We're shot. Your face is set. We're shot.